Greetings and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, we'll be doing a first look at the new game, Iwo Jima 1945. This is from Worthington Games. And I just received this. I backed it on Kickstarter and just received it. It's kind of been Worthington week since I just received Band of Brothers, Stalin's favorite, a few days back. So pretty exciting stuff here for me. Really looking forward to this. I also got Tarawa 1943 along with it. That, of course, was the first game in this particular series, and I will be playing that as well, though probably do this one first, since it is brand new and people haven't seen it that much yet. So, this is the back. As you can see, it's got this black sand kind of background on the back, which is pretty cool because, of course, Iwo Jima was a black sand beach, or is a black sand beach, I guess you can say. And here's a little shot of the map and some of the components. On February 19th, 1945, the U.S. Marine Corps would land 30,000 Marines on the island against a Japanese defense force that numbered roughly 21,000 Japanese soldiers. Facing a Japanese commander who had learned valuable lessons from the losses on other Japanese islands, the USMC would eventually land over 70,000 Marines and suffer over 25,000 casualties during the 36-day campaign. Iwo Jima was the only island assault during the Pacific War that the attacking U.S. forces would suffer worse casualties than the Japanese defenders. Command the U.S. Marine Corps landing forces as the Japanese, through the card-driven game, defend the island with their prepared defenses and relentless attacks. Yes, so I'm sure you all know, or most of you at least, would know that this was an extremely tenacious defense by the Japanese, and obviously the Marines took quite a beating in taking the island. So let's go back to the front here, and I'll rip off the shrink and we'll see what's inside the box. Okay, as I mentioned in my Band of Brothers first look, the box is really nice. Everything Worthington does has really top-notch components. We do get some baggies here. So you see that. And we, of course, have our rule book, and that's where we'll start. And then you see here we got some stickers. The stickers, of course, this game uses blocks. So that's kind of an interesting twist. And instead of counters, we have blocks. So we're going to have to, or I am going to have to, and you will too if you get the game, have to sticker a bunch of blocks. But as you can see, there's only one sheet of stickers here, and there really aren't that many of them. Here's the map. I'll see if I can get this out. All right, so here's the map, and we'll take a look at that, obviously, shortly as well. And what else do we have in here? As usual, we have the component tray, the counter tray, for lack of a better word. That always comes in Worthington Games, something I really enjoy and appreciate. So it's got a cover on it. I'll take the cover off, and you can see the cards for the card-driven aspect. And we'll take a look at these as well down the road here in our first look. Then you've got some blocks, some greens. We've got a bunch of green dice here and a bunch of other blocks. Some yellows for the Japanese forces. The greens are the Marines. And then these, I assume, would be some kind of markers involved in gameplay. So for now, I'm going to put this stuff right back in here. And we're going to start by taking a look at the rule book. And it's pretty short. It's 12 pages here. So let's crack it open. Okay, so here's our instruction book, as I just mentioned. Section 1 is the introduction. So this gives you the reasoning for invading Iwo Jima, about the campaign, how difficult it was for the Marines, and etc. There's also some differences between this one and Tarawa 1943, which I also have, but I have not played because I bought it along as an add-on along with this game. So if you've played Tarawa 1943, there are some differences here that you will need to check out when you read the rules. Information about the game board, which represents the island of Iwo Jima and the water around the island. On the island are 4 beach positions, green, yellow, red, and blue, each of which has 3 rectangular slots for the wooden troop markers. Only U.S. Marine Corps regiments may occupy beach positions. There are 10 island positions. Each is labeled with a circle around a number with the position's name. 4 of the island positions have mountain icons, which affect how many dice the Marines roll when attacking that position if Japanese occupied. So you get the rundown here on the board and what the things on the board mean. So we'll see the board itself here in a little bit. Do have some things here about controlling positions, Mount Suribachi, etc. Then we get to our components. You have Marine Corps tactic cards. The Marine Corps player has a deck of 36 tactic cards. The cards give various bonus to the U.S. Marine Corps during play. So we've got a title, instructions, history, little history note there, and the timing. So when you can play it. And this one says play during U.S. Marine Corps turn. You draw 3 cards in your hand. The U.S. Marine Corps player may play or discard any number of cards from their hand during the turn, and play and not discard any number of cards from their hand during the Japanese turn. Okay. Japanese AI activation cards. So it's got a title. You can see this one says Banzai. Instructions, the history, and the timing again. And this one is played during the Japanese turn. That makes sense. And then the description of what that is. So our brown cubes that we just saw in the tray there, those are bunker cubes. They're placed by play of Japanese AI activation cards and U.S. Marine Corps tactic cards into occupied island positions. No more than 1 bunker cube may be in position. Okay. A key rule, a bunker does not occupy a position, it adds to the defense of it. And then you get an example. An important attacking formation cannot use bunkers in their position to absorb losses. Exhaustion cubes, formation markers, which are the unit blocks, by colored rectangular wooden markers, Japanese markers. Japanese formation markers are golden. You place 1 label showing a picture of a Japanese soldier with the label of IJA per marker. That's the Imperial Japanese Army, of course. Because of the way the Japanese were defending on the island, their movement, attack, and defense are handled differently, and you'll be moving markers singly, doubly, or all from a position. And our Marine Corps markers, they are green with a U.S. Marine Corps label applied to one of the long sides. Place 1 label with a picture of a Marine on one side of the wooden marker. Only 1 label per marker should be applied. Here you can see it's got a division number. That would be the 4th Marine Division, 23rd rather, Marine Regiment. And you have an alternate set of labels with the U.S. Marine Corps. Oh, so you have two sets, and you can choose to use which one you would prefer. Oh, okay, I see. I'm looking at it right now, and you'll see it in a moment. U.S. Marine Corps Regiment cohesion and exhaustion. Right, so this is obviously an important element of the game. You got to maintain your Marines morale, fatigue, combat effectiveness. That's all contained in cohesion. And exhaustion, that comes from a low cohesion apparently, and it's completed its action. So if it has a cohesion of 5 or less on its regiment cohesion track and has completed its action of rotating, moving, and attacking, or an exhausted regiment regroups, or by card play. Any Japanese attack causing a cohesion reduction against the U.S. Marine Corps regiment at 5 or less also causes an immediate exhaustion check. Then we have game setup. Place 3 markers, 3 Japanese markers in each numbered island position. Separate the Marines by regiment. Each regiment having 3 markers sharing the same unit designation. Place 1 regiment in each beach position with the label facing the player. These are green, red, yellow, and blue beaches. The other 5 regiments are kept off board as reserves until the player brings them onto a beach position later in the game. All right, we'll go, when I do the playthrough, perhaps I'll show you the setup, depending, once I actually read all the rules. And I'll just determine whether I think it's worthwhile to show that or if it's easy enough to follow. My guess is it's probably easy enough to follow without me having to show it to you. The sequence of play, the special landing phase, which only occurs once during the game. Japanese will do a fire attack roll of 3 dice against each of the U.S. Marine Corps occupied beach positions adjacent to an occupied Japanese position. Okay, and then you've got the Marines' turn, and you're going to draw up to 3 cards and place it face up into the U.S. Marine Corps hand of tactic cards, maximum of 3 cards allowed in the hand. Perform one of the actions below. Place a new wave, regroup, rotate regiments, move, and attack. A tactics card may be played before, during, or immediately after this activation. Check for exhaustion of any U.S. Marine Corps regiment that reduces below 6 cohesion this turn. If no tactic card was played, the U.S. Marine Corps player may discard 1 tactics card from their hand. We get the AI turn. You draw the top card from the Japanese activation draw deck, place it face up in the discard pile, file all the instructions from that card. Then you can play a Marine Corps tactics card before, during, or immediately after this activation. You check for exhaustion for the Marines who have their cohesion reduced below 6 during the Japanese turn. And play continues in the above sequence until the following occurs. Once the last Japanese card is played, the game ends after the next U.S. Marine Corps player turn. So the Marines get 1 last turn after the last card is played from the Japanese deck. The game immediately ends when the Marine Corps player controls all island positions at the end of the Marines' turn. Okay, and then you've got your tactic cards here. Information about that. Information about each of the actions. So you've got place new wave, where you can place up to 2 regiments that are off board into any vacant beach positions. It does not reduce cohesion, but it is the Marines' option, or action rather, for that turn. You can regroup, which will add 3 to the current cohesion of the regiment, and you can move the marker up 3 spaces on its regiment cohesion track. So if you have an exhausted regiment and the marker's in the 4 or 5 space on its regiment cohesion track, make an immediate exhaustion check. If after the regroup action, the exhausted regiment is 6 or higher, the regiment is immediately rolled back to not exhausted. Remove the exhaustion cube from the regiment position. Regroups on non-exhausted regiments don't require an exhaustion check. So apparently if you have a 6 or so, above 5, but getting towards 5, you can run this action to push your cohesion higher to make it harder to be exhausted. Rotate regiments. You can swap positions with another regiment in an adjacent position. One of the 2 must reduce its cohesion by 1, and then perform any necessary exhaustion checks. Player's choice of which regiment to reduce, but it may not be an exhausted regiment. However, exhausted regiments may rotate during a rotate regiment action. Okay, so if you have one that's exhausted and one that isn't, you have to take the cohesion hit on the one that is not, is how I would read that rule. You got movement rules. It looks like movement is going to reduce regiment cohesion by 1. Further, 1 daisy chain effect is allowed if there's an adjacent non-exhausted regiment to the moving regiment. It may reduce 1 cohesion and enter the position previously occupied by the moving regiment. A regiment may not move through an enemy occupied position. Attack. 1 regiment attacks an adjacent Japanese occupied position. To attack, move the cohesion down 1. The attacking regiment must be adjacent to the Japanese being attacked. To attack, roll 5 dice, play any, plus any for tactic cards. Results are only applied to the regiment attacking and the Japanese marker in the position being attacked. On U.S. Marine Corps attacks against mountain positions, reduce the number of dice rolled from 5 to 4. This does not apply to attacks against infiltrating Japanese cubes in these positions. And then you've got your dice rolls here. So double 6s, remove 1 Japanese marker. Double 5s, remove 1 Japanese marker. Each 4, immediately remove all 4s. They may not be re-rolled. Each 3, re-roll all 3s immediately. Do not reduce cohesion. Double 2s, reduce the regiment's cohesion by 1. Double 1s, remove 1 marker from the regiment. After the dice have been rolled and any dice immediately removed or automatically re-rolled, the Marine Corps player decides which of the rolled dice to keep at this point in the attack, including single 1, 2, 5s, and 6s. Set those keeper dice aside. The U.S. Marine Corps attacking regiment may now choose to re-roll any 1, 2, 5s, and 6 from the previous roll that were not set aside. If the player chooses to re-roll any dice, the attacking regiment's cohesion is reduced by 1. On any re-roll, a player may choose to re-roll a previous keeper die. Okay, that sounds, when you read it, it sounds a little complicated, but I suspect it's not. Basically, you're trying to roll double 5s and 6s. 4s and 3s don't do anything for you specifically. 4s get removed, and 3s you re-roll immediately. And then you would want to, I'm not sure why you would keep 1s or 2s, but maybe you would. I don't know. Oh, 1, remove 1 marker from, maybe that's why. All right, applying the results of Marine Corps attacks. When the Marine Corps attack ends, results are applied for any keeper dice that are double 1, 2, 5s, and 6s. Each set of double 1s eliminates a U.S. Marine Corps marker. Each set of double 2s reduces the attacking regiment's cohesion by 1. Each set of 5 or 6 eliminates a Japanese marker. Okay. And then you've got examples, etc. I won't go through all this because we'll see it in gameplay. Advancing after attacks. And you have the Japanese turn. The specifics: Japanese fire, attack 3 dice. And again, if they roll, each 6 removes a 1 marker from the regiment being attacked. Each 5 reduce the cohesion by 1 of the U.S. Marine Corps regiment being attacked. 4 also reduces cohesion by 1. Each 3 you re-roll. Each 2 cancels a 6. So 2 2s would cancel 2 6s. Double 1s remove 1 Japanese marker from the position attacking. Ignore when attacking beach positions. And a single 1 is no effect. Banzai, these attacks only occur against U.S. Marine Corps occupied island positions. Then you have Banzai attack die roll results. Markers and cubes. Infiltration cubes. Infiltration was obviously a key tactic the Japanese employed in the island battles. So there are rules for that. Then you have your victory determination. Some optional rules. There's only really one to make the game more difficult for the Marine Corps player. Reduce the number of Japanese cards used during setup to 27. To make the game easier, increase the number of Japanese cards used during setup to 33. Basically, the more cards they have, the longer the game goes, the more time the Marines have to take the island, I'm guessing, right? And you've got 9 key things to remember when playing, and then there's a game setup and turn example that's actually pretty short. So the game is designed to be fairly, and you've got your kind of cheat sheet here, player aid type thing here on the back to keep in mind or to easily refer to during gameplay. So now let's take a look at our stickers. So here are the stickers. You can see you've got color-coded Marine regiments here, right? You got the 3rd Division, 3rd Regiment, 4th Division, 23rd Regiment, 5th Division, 26th Regiment, and then, of course, you've got 23, 24, 25 for the 4th Division, 3rd Marines, 9th Marines, 21st Marines in the 3rd Division, and the 5th has the 26th, 27th, and 28th. If I remember my history correctly, this was a new division, I think, that saw its first action at Iwo Jima. John Basilone, I believe, was in this division and he's a Medal of Honor winner. If you're not familiar, he was kind of a legend on Guadalcanal. He was killed at this battle. And then we've got the alternate color scheme with the gold and all the Marines just being green stickers. I don't know which one I'll use. Here's our Japanese, and then we've got some marker ones here with the flag on them. Now let's take a look at the map. Okay, so we can see most of the map here. So you've got your 3 Marine divisions here with their regiments, right? So 3rd Marine Division under Major General Graves Erskine. The 4th Marine Division was under Major General Clifton Cates, and the 5th was under Major General Keller Rocky. And then their regiments and their cohesion tracks, you can see when you get into the 5s or less, they're colored orange, so that indicates that they are exhausted. Then, of course, we have our pork chop shaped Iwo Jima island map here with our green, red, yellow, and blue beaches. Some of the landmarks, so to speak. You've got your 2 airfields, Field 1 and Field 2. The map, by the way, lays pretty flat right out of the box. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty dang flat here. Mount Suribachi up here. the neck, the west side, turkey knob, hill 362B and 362A. And of course, these boxes are where you will place markers as you come in. So obviously the Marines will land on the beaches and push in and try to take all the Japanese positions. Up here you have some die rolls that are kind of the same as what's on the rulebook. Japanese fire attacks rolling 3 dice. Over here, which is out of the shot, you've got the bonsai attack and the regiment, U.S. Marine Corps regiment, rolling 5 dice. Infiltration markers, here's our Japanese draw and discard piles, and the Marine Corps draw and discard piles. And that is a look at the game. All right, before we wrap it up, let's take a look at the cards. So there are basically 2 decks, as you may have gathered from the rule review. In my left hand, I've got the Marines, and in the right hand, the Japanese. So taking a look at the Marine Corps cards first, there are a total of 36. And as you saw before, you've got the name, the instructions, the historical background, and when it can be played. So some of these will probably say they can be played during most of the, oh, there you go. Bad weather, immediately proceed to the Japanese turn. Play during Japanese turn. Ignore 1 marker loss due to a Japanese attack. So you get 3 of these in your hand. They would live over here on the Marine draw deck box. And then, of course, we also have Japanese cards. So there are 36 of these as well. And they have, as you would also gather from the rules, you've got the title, the instructions, and at the bottom, the historical background and when they can be played. And they, I think, let's see if we can find one that's, I think these are all, use attack priority. Attack priority. So there's a bunch of these in the middle. The rest of them, I think, all say play during Japanese turn. They do. Okay, now one thing I noticed about the Marine cards, let's see if I can find them, they're in the middle, is we have these 2 here that are different. There are 2 of them, as far as I've noticed. They're both recuperate, so they have the same effect. 1 regiment rolls a die. The result of the die is as follows. So you're basically going to be able to increase the cohesion of one of your regiments. So that's pretty good. So that is that. That is the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, etc. Look for a gameplay or gameplay videos of this game in the near future, likely as part of Solitaire Sunday, or perhaps not. Depends. But for now, that's going to do it for this one. I'm Joe. This is Hext Encountered. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.